The baby's cries echoed through the cabin of first class, slicing through the calm hum of engines like a siren of desperation. Passengers shifted uncomfortably in their seats, sighing, glaring, muttering complaints under their breath. Flight attendants tried to soothe the tension with polite smiles, but everyone's patience was wearing thin. In the corner of the luxurious cabin, a young mother sat helplessly, tears brimming in her eyes as she cradled her wailing infant. Her perfectly styled hair was undone, her hands trembled, and her expensive dress was stained with milk. She looked nothing like the powerful CEO she was, but rather like a frightened, exhausted mother on the verge of breaking. If you believe in kindness, empathy, and second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Because sometimes one act of compassion can change a life forever. Across the aisle, Daniel Miller, 34, single dad, economy upgrade by miracle, watched quietly. He recognized that look on her face, the mix of exhaustion and panic. He had seen it in the mirror countless times when his daughter Emma was still a baby. He knew what it felt like to hold a crying child, while the world judged you for not being enough. Daniel was a mechanic, flying back from a rare job interview that might finally change his and his daughter's life. He'd scraped together every bit of savings for the trip, even skipped meals to afford the ticket. But when the airline offered a free upgrade due to an overbooked economy cabin, he'd taken it, mostly to see how the other half lived. Now, sitting among business elites sipping champagne and scrolling through their tablets, he felt entirely out of place, yet none of them could see the pain that hit him as the woman's baby continued crying uncontrollably. The woman, Amelia Hart, wasn't just anyone. She was the CEO of Hartwell Technologies, a name plastered across skyscrapers and magazines. To the world, she was a symbol of control, ambition, and success. But right now, none of that mattered. Her husband had passed away unexpectedly 8 months ago, and this was her first flight alone with her 6-month-old daughter, Grace. She had tried everything, bottles, lullabies, rocking, but nothing worked. Her hands shook. Her voice cracked as she whispered apologies to passengers who looked anywhere but at her. Daniel's heart ached. He saw the same loneliness that had haunted him after his wife died giving birth to their daughter. He remembered the endless nights when little Emma had screamed until dawn, and he'd rocked her while crying himself. Without thinking twice, he unbuckled his seatbelt and approached Amelia, ignoring the disapproving stares of the suited passengers. "Excuse me," he said softly, careful not to startle her. "May I help?" She looked up, her eyes wide with embarrassment. "Oh, no, please, I'm fine," she stammered, her voice brittle. But the look in her eyes betrayed the truth. She was drowning. Daniel smiled kindly. "It's okay. I've been there. Single dad, 7 years of crying, teething, and tantrums. May I?" Hesitant but desperate, she nodded. Daniel carefully took the baby into his arms, rocking her gently. He began humming, a slow, warm tune that filled the air like a whisper from another time. The baby's cries began to soften, her little body relaxing against his chest. Within minutes, she had stopped crying altogether, tiny fingers curled around his shirt as she drifted to sleep. A stunned silence swept through the cabin. Even the flight attendants froze, watching the transformation. The woman who had seemed untouchable, powerful, feared, sat speechless as a stranger calmed her baby with nothing but patience and heart. Passengers began murmuring softly, some even smiling, shame replacing irritation. Daniel smiled faintly as he handed Grace back to Amelia, who could barely speak. "Sometimes they just need to feel a heartbeat," he said quietly. "Reminds them they're safe." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have no idea," he nodded. "Actually, I think I do." After that, the atmosphere shifted. The rest of the flight passed peacefully, the baby sleeping soundly, the tension gone. Amelia couldn't stop glancing at Daniel. His calmness, his humility, the way he gently adjusted his worn-out jacket over his shoulders. He wasn't like the men she knew, the ones who spoke in numbers and contracts. There was something real about him, something she hadn't felt in years. When the plane landed, passengers applauded lightly, a rare moment of shared humanity. Amelia waited by the exit, holding her daughter, unsure how to express what she felt. Daniel smiled politely, ready to leave, but she stopped him. "Please," she said, her voice trembling. "At least let me thank you properly. You turned what could have been the worst day of my life into something I'll never forget." He smiled. "No need for thanks, just pay it forward, maybe." She looked down at his boarding pass, sticking from his jacket pocket. Economy class, scratched out and replaced with upgraded. Something inside her stirred. "You're a father. Traveling alone?" He nodded. "Had a job interview. Mechanic position. Didn't go too great, but that's life." She hesitated, then extended her hand. "I might know someone who's hiring." Daniel laughed softly. "I'm sure your someone wouldn't need a guy like me." Amelia smiled faintly. "You'd be surprised what people need." 2 weeks later, Daniel received a call from an unfamiliar number. "Mr. Miller," a voice said, "we'd like to schedule an interview at Hartwell Technologies. Your name was personally recommended." He was speechless. He hadn't even applied there. Still, he agreed, thinking maybe it was fate playing one of its mysterious games. When he arrived at the skyscraper, he froze the moment he saw her, Amelia, standing in the lobby, dressed in an elegant navy suit, holding baby Grace. "You?" he said, stunned. She smiled shyly. "I told you I knew someone." He couldn't find the words. "You're the CEO?" "Technically," she said, "but today, just a mom who owes a stranger more than she can ever repay." She walked closer, baby Grace cooing in her arms. "You said something on the plane that sometimes they just need to feel a heartbeat to know they're safe. I think that's true for grown-ups, too." That moment changed everything. Daniel was hired, not out of pity, but because Amelia saw something rare in him: integrity, humility, and quiet strength. Over the months that followed, he became more than just an employee. He helped design safety systems for vehicles, suggested community repair programs, and became a mentor for younger technicians. But more than that, he became someone Amelia leaned on. They'd share coffee breaks talking about loss, parenthood, and how fragile life could be. Grace adored him, reaching for his hands whenever he was near. For the first time in years, Amelia felt something other than pressure. She felt peace. The man who'd once soothed her baby's cries was now soothing the echoes of her own lonely heart. One evening, after a long day, Daniel stopped by her office to return a report. Grace was asleep in her stroller beside her desk. Amelia looked up, her eyes tired but soft. "You know," she said, "you're the only person in my life who never asked for anything." Daniel smiled. "Maybe because I already got what I needed." She tilted her head. "And what's that?" He looked at her, his voice quiet but certain, a reminder that kindness still exists. There was a silence that said more than words ever could. Outside the window, the city lights glittered like 1,000 tiny miracles. In that glow, 2 broken people, one rich in money, one rich in heart, finally found the courage to heal. Months later, as the company held a charity event to support single parents, Amelia stood on stage holding Grace. Her speech was simple. "Sometimes the people who have the least give the most. This company owes its future to a man who reminded me that compassion isn't weakness. It's power." She turned to the crowd, her gaze finding Daniel's. "He didn't save my company. He saved me." The audience erupted in applause, but Daniel only smiled, quietly holding back tears. He didn't need recognition. He had already gained something far more precious, a family that felt whole again. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in the power of compassion, second chances, and human connection, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It means the world to know these stories still matter. And before you go, comment below. Would you have done what Daniel did? Because sometimes one act of kindness can silence the world's noise and remind us all that love still speaks the loudest.